morning, pipe smokers. Amber here. I am in my car driving to work, so figured I'd do a VR for Jay's funny car story. Got my driver's license when I turned 18. My parents wouldn't let me get it before that, so I just don't think they wanted to spend the money on driver's ed. It was kind of expensive. But I've had a lot of cars since I've turned 18. I haven't owned a lot of cars, but I've gone through driving like my parents' cars and things like that. Had everything from a station wagon to an Astro van to a Dodge Shadow, GMC Jimmy, a couple of Honda Civics, an Accord. Let's see, I had a Honda Element, looked like a big toaster, worse than the Scions look. But my very, very first car, that car was the biggest embarrassment I've ever had. It was a 77 Cadillac Seville. Now, had it been in better shape, it would have been a totally different story. However, this car was, I think, originally supposed to be black. But by the time I got it, it was rusted out, just paint was awful. Excuse the sun in the background. I didn't realize it was going to do that to me. But the worst part was it had a hole in the floor on the driver's side. Needless to say, you had to be very careful while you were driving. My friends used to make fun of me left and right. You know, they used to call it the Flintstone car. Well, one day I was driving to work or somewhere, driving to school actually, and my dad had rigged it with a mat to make sure that, you know, you didn't have to fall through the hole. Well, the mat moved. I ran over a bump or something, and I had a soda bottle sitting beside me, and it fell out. It's like, oh crap. Brand new soda bottle too. And so I had to be real careful. So the hole was, I mean, almost took up the whole floor. So you had to kind of like take a wide stance so your foot didn't go. And there was a couple of times in that incident where my foot would slip and go through the hole and almost hit the ground. So I begged, please don't make me drive this car. Well, that's all you got. That's all you can drive. I'm like, oh man. So I had to just bear with being made fun of my senior year in high school. And of course, at least it was my close friends, but you know, they're the worst when it comes to picking on you about something. And worrying about the safety of my feet and whether or not my feet were going to get, you know, scratched or burned or, you know, road rash or something like that. So, you know, and the car was a boat. It wasn't a small one in the least bit, you know, and I'm a fairly tall girl, but, you know, I was pretty small back then, and it was just the weirdest thing. Trying to park it was just ridiculous. I'm glad when I took my driving test I didn't have to take that. Luckily, I missed out on the parallel parking. The trooper forgot. But trying to parallel park that thing was ridiculous. You couldn't do it. It never fit. I'm glad they started making cars a lot smaller, considering I went from that car to my parents' station wagon, which was just as big. It was one of the old ones, old yellow station wagon. And with a door that you had to open from the outside. My dad was a makeshift mechanic. He worked on cars on the weekend, so we always had somebody that had a car. Well, you know, I'll give it to you. It needs to be fixed. Oh, we'll take it. I'll fix it. Never worked. They never worked. But there was always something wrong. Either the door didn't shut all the way, or you had to pull it and hold it for a little while before it locked. Oh gosh, it was awful. So I'm very, very happy to have a car. I don't have to worry about that now. There's no holes in my floorboards now, but back when I was 18, I had a car that had a hole in the floor. So that is my entry into Jay's funny car story. I don't know how funny it is to anyone, but it was, looking back on it now, it's pretty funny to me that that was what I learned how to drive in. And so that also led to the fact that I always drove big cars and trucks and, you know, SUVs and stuff, because I was so used to driving a big vehicle just because of that Cadillac. Hope everyone has a great weekend. It's Friday. Yay. Take care. Have a great one.